American English, American English. Teach and learn American English.
Welcome to Teaching Tips from American English. In part 2 of this teaching tip topic, John Kotnarowski will explore what P.I.E. outlines are and how P.I.E. outlines can help English language learners write more clearly and persuasively. Welcome back, John.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm John Kotnarowski, and I'm looking forward to talking with you today about another helpful academic writing tip, using P.I.E. outlines to make clear connections between the ideas in our writing. Let's get started. Here are today's goals. First, I would like to introduce you to the concept of P.I.E. or P.I.E. outlines. Second, I would like to show you how P.I.E. outlines can be used to help your students write more clearly and persuasively. In case you missed part 1 of this series, here's a short recap. During the first video, I talked about 2 pre-writing strategies, brainstorming and creating skeleton outlines. In this video, I will explain how to use a P.I.E. outline to take the ideas we generated during brainstorming and using skeleton outlining to expand this work into full paragraphs. So, without further ado, let's discuss how to use the P.I.E. outline to plan a paragraph. P.I.E. is an acronym. It stands for point, illustration, and explanation. The point is the first sentence of a paragraph. This is the main idea of the paragraph. It is also one of the supporting reasons from the skeleton outline. The illustration is usually the second sentence and serves as an example that supports the point. Finally, the explanation comes at the end of the paragraph. In these final sentences, the writer tries to make a connection between the illustration and the point at the start of the paragraph. Now that we know what P.I.E. stands for, let's take a look at an activity that uses this strategy. To show students how P.I.E. works, give them an example paragraph and ask them to read this paragraph by themselves. Then, with a partner, ask them to describe the role of each sentence. Here we have an example paragraph. Please pause this video and take a moment to read through this paragraph about why teachers should allow their students to use cell phones in the classroom. After reading through the example paragraph, we see that there are 3 sentences and each serves a specific purpose. The first sentence, in blue, is the main idea of the paragraph, namely that cell phones should be allowed in class because they can function as study tools. The second sentence, in black, gives an example of how cell phones can be used as study tools. In this sentence, the writer points out that a student might use the dictionary feature on his or her phone to find the meaning of a word. The final sentence, in red, makes a connection between the first 2 sentences. Here, the writer indicates that if cell phones can help students study more effectively, then teachers should allow them in class, and perhaps even teach students how to use them well. After discussing the role each sentence plays in the paragraph, it is time to make another connection with P.I.E. You can see that the first sentence, containing the main idea, is the point, or P. The second sentence, containing the example, is the illustration, or I. And the third sentence with the information connection between the first 2 sentences is the explanation, or E. So, writing good paragraphs is as easy as pie. Now, your students should be ready to take an empty P.I.E. organizer and put the information in the correct order. You can see a student-generated example of a filled-out P.I.E. organizer on the screen now. As you might notice, there aren't many details. It's more important to get the right information in the right order. In addition to helping organize the information in a paragraph, using P.I.E. outlines is a good way to make sure that each paragraph contains a main idea. Now, let's test your understanding. Here you have 3 sentences. Each one of them represents one of the P.I.E. roles. See if you can put the sentences in the correct order. Which is the P? Which is the I? Which is the E? Pause the video here to take a closer look. Now, let's check your answers. First, the point sentence was number 3. Another reason why cell phones should be allowed in the classroom is so parents can reach their children in the case of an emergency. We know this because it contains the main idea of the paragraph. The illustration sentence was number 1. For instance, if there is a major storm or the school loses power, it would be important for a student and his or her family to communicate about where to meet. We can tell this sentence is the illustration because it starts with the expression, for instance, and then gives an example of how a cell phone could help families during an emergency. Finally, the explanation sentence is number 2. Cell phones allow communication between people during emergency events, which creates a safer and less stressful environment for both students and parents. This sentence makes the connection between the point and the illustration very clear to the reader. If you got all 3 correct, congratulations! Summing up, we began this video by discussing what a P.I.E. or P.I.E. outline is. Then I showed you how using these outlines can help students write more clearly and persuasively. Thanks so much for joining me today. Be sure to check out all of the great teaching tips videos on the AE YouTube channel.
To check out other great teaching tip videos, be sure to subscribe to our American English YouTube channel. You can find resources for teachers on the American English website by clicking on the link listed here. And if you haven't already, be sure to like us on the American English for Educators Facebook page.